Tonight, pointing fingers, Joe Biden joined Anna and the women of The View today and gave his explanation for what went wrong in November.
So why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president, and she is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. Right. But I was surprised, I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I mean, it really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
I've seen some criticism of that, saying that it's not the full picture.
I mean, I think there is a lot to do with that. I mean, I think anybody who says that that has absolutely nothing to do with it is just not being intellectually honest. Was that the whole reason? To your point, is that the full picture? Of course not. That's not the full picture. I think that there were economic headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. I think that there were immigration headwinds against a Democrat being president of the United States. And I also think that there were people who felt as if, and if this is the most amazing stat that came out of the most recent election. Are you better off 4 years ago? Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the overwhelming majority of people answered that question no. Kamala Harris was more than qualified to be president of the United States. And I'm not sure that any Democrat, and I say this again, would have beaten Donald Trump in that race.
But why can't Joe Biden understand that? That it was immigration, the economy. Why? I mean, I thought that was I thought that was one of the most striking things was his unwillingness to even acknowledge that maybe some of the issues had to do with it too.
No, if you watch the entire interview, he did acknowledge it and he took responsibility. He said, look, I was in charge. So yeah, the buck stops with me. I was, it is my responsibility. I think part of what happened between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and this entire election is that there's a lot of affection and loyalty between the two. There was a lot of gossip for 4 years that they didn't like each other, that he was undercutting her, that she was unhappy. I think she couldn't distance herself from him out of loyalty. And I think today what you heard from him was a lot of deference and affection towards his vice president, a role that he played.
But let me ask you a question, though. He said he wasn't surprised that she lost, but that he would have won the race. That's like saying, well, I was a boat anchor on my vice president, so she drowned in this election. But the anchor itself would have floated. That is crazy talk for him to say that.
He did not say that he would have won the race.
He literally said,
he's like,
I wasn't surprised, but I would have won. The idea that he believes to this day. Let me take one more issue.
I mean, he not only said that, but he has said it repeatedly.
Here's the thing. Let's go back to what you said about racism. Can we just take a moment and talk about a white guy saying that racism's white should win, and also the same white guy, Joe Biden, says I would have won. Like, you were one and the same person here. Like, if you're going to blame racism, it's absurd. My point is, the idea that she lost because of racism is absurd. She lost because the country was in a disastrous place, and they blamed him and his policies that she had to defend.
Can I tell you something?
And as a white guy saying, as a white guy, he won and she didn't win.
You, as a white guy, have the privilege of saying that racism, and you, as a white male.
I'm saying it's an incredibly
I am telling you right now.
Statement as a white guy to sit there on stage and say, I would have won with the same policies that she ran on.
As a woman of color, I am telling you that it is incredibly ridiculous for you, with the privilege that being a white male gives you in this country, to say that there wasn't some element of racism.
I think it was terrible
sexism.
policy. But I think if you guys stick with this idea, hold on. If you stick with this plan, which is every time we lose an election, racism has to be involved.
That's not what I just said. I literally gave you a full picture.
Yeah,
I gave you a full picture. And what I'm also saying is that, yes, I believe Joe Biden saying he'd win the election is delusional, right? So I said that because I also said that there's a certain point. But let me also explain, with the equal level of delusion, you do understand that black folk, particularly black women, have to run twice as fast as you do to achieve the same goal. And if you do not understand,
I disagree with that.
You can.
I disagree with that
but
completely.
you can, and I'm just telling you that is the experience, whether or not you're in politics or the business world or education.
Let me ask you this. Then why pull Joe Biden from the candidacy? If what you're saying is true, then he would have won overwhelmingly, because you're saying it was twice as hard for him to win.
Let me just actually ask you something, because
you're not making any sense.
No, you just said that it's twice as hard for an African-American woman to win.
Given what you just said, if you believe that it would have been twice as hard for Kamala Harris to win, isn't it even more important for Joe Biden to have given her the ability to
I don't think that's a question,
distance
but that's not a question. And Anna brought up a good point, because out of all the people I said it's a good question. Yeah. I said out of all the people that are sitting around this table, I was actually a part of those discussions. And the person who did not want to distance himself because of loyalty, although she might not have had the loyalty given back from some of the women, particularly who were around Joe Biden, was Kamala Harris.
Yeah, but did Joe Biden say? But did Joe Biden ever say?
She did have it from Joe Biden.
Did Joe Biden ever say to her, "You need to do exactly what you need to do to win this election. You need to pursue a policy that is what you need." So that's the answer.
I cannot let this go. I cannot let this go on this show in front of millions of Americans who will watch this, whether or not it's on Snapchat, TikTok, or Twitter. The point still remains, when we're talking about the issue of race and gender in this country, that everyone is not on equal playing fields. That the fact that, yes, we have a black woman, whether or not she is in academia, whether or not she's in business or in politics,
then are you going to run her again?
The field is not equal.
Candidate?
She's actually the best candidate for governor of the state of Georgia, and whatever else she wants to do.
If she's so good, and it's only an issue of what you're saying.
I said California. What did I say?
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Scott, hold on, Ben. Scott,
can I
go
just
ahead.
raise one other sort of forward-looking issue? Watching him on The View today and watching some of the interviews he did over.
Thank you for your viewership.
Yeah, I saw it. It's rare for me, but I did watch it.
You like Anna. That's what it is.
I will just say, watching him over the last few days reminded me that a whole bunch of people were telling us with a straight face that this man was capable of serving another 4 years as president, and that these appearances, coupled with what I understand is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped on the Democratic Party when Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book come out next week, I don't know that the Democrats have fully internalized what's about to happen to them. Between what he looks like today and what they're about to report, get ready.
I am not sure that Joe Biden fully realizes even his own deficits in this moment, Anna. I think, seriously, he seems to not, he was asked about it directly, and he doesn't seem to get it at all, which is part of the problem.
Well, look, Abby, I don't know many elected officials in any party who willingly walk away from their elected office, right? I think it's hard for everybody. Look, I think this was very hard for Joe Biden, and I think he took responsibility for that. He did not say what you just said, Scott, that he said. You said that he told Kamala Harris that she could not have any distance from him.
It's been reported. He told her
doesn't matter what he was.
He told her point blank, no daylight, kid, no daylight.
Because reporting can never be wrong?
Are you attacking the journalism around it?
You think reporting can never be wrong?
If you want to be anti-journalism, I'll be
come on here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him the question
There's critical
directly.
reporting about this guy, and he told her point blank, no daylight.
We asked him directly today.
Right.
Did you tell her that?
You think he's ever told a lie?
I don't think he tells many lies.
Cognitive decline, I can tell you that much.
I don't think he tells many lies. I don't think he's done.
Come on.
Wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election and that lies about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's in Jake. Have you read it? Have you read it?
Guys, we got to go. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll be right back.